everyone. I'm Edward. I run our tech partners here at Striim. Today I'll be talking about how to speed time the analytics with Striim and Power BI. So really what that means is we'll be talking about Synapse and how to ingest and pre-process your data into Synapse as fast as possible using a Microsoft partner, Striim. So today I'll go ahead and start with kind of give some brief context as to Synapse, then dive into a Striim overview, touch on a customer use case just so you can see what a real world use case looks like, and then dive into a demo of what will probably be the most interesting piece of actually using Striim to replicate data live from a source Oracle database to Synapse. And then throughout, please feel free to answer any question or to ask any questions via chat. Simson will be on the line throughout to help you out there, or we'll try and leave some time at the end for questions as well. So kind of in the context of really what the theme of this whole conference is doing more with less. So here we're focused on using Synapse to implement insights-driven decisions in minutes, not days. And while that's great, you still have to think about how to get your data there. So there are a wide variety of options. You can code your own solutions, use open source tools. And while those work, it really does take a lot of development effort. So here with the solution we're presenting today with Striim, really, we're focused on providing a platform that makes it easy. We say you can build data pipelines in less than 5 minutes within setting up Striim to continuously replicate data into Synapse and really make the most of Synapse. I won't speak too much to Synapse. There are plenty of other sessions here that have discussed the benefits. But really, once you've chosen Synapse, then the question is the ingestion path. So if you've seen any of the Synapse webinars, you've probably seen this diagram here. So where Striim fits in is really on the ingestion path on the left-hand side. One other key thing to note here is Striim is actually part of Synapse Link. So if you're aware of Synapse Link, the idea is just to make it as easy as possible to get your data into Synapse from a variety of Azure data services. And where Striim fits into the picture is supporting Oracle and Salesforce. So those are data sources which Synapse Link currently does not support. So Striim just provides that ability to read from those sources. Stepping back a little bit, so Striim is a streaming ETL platform, which allows you to build low-code or no-code data pipelines to continuously ingest data from a variety of sources, typically transactional databases via log-based change data capture, and then write to any number of Azure data services. In the middle, there's a streaming processing engine, which allows you to transform, enrich, or process that data in flight, either with SQL queries or Java code. Since Striim is a platform, we commonly see it used for a few common use cases. The first one being cloud adoption. So say zero downtime database migrations from on-premises or other clouds to Azure. So the method that Striim reads from transactional databases is actually from the underlying transaction logs. So rather than reading from the database itself, the ability to read from those log files helps in that it puts a smaller load on the source database, as well as turn any production database into a continuous streaming data source. So the other benefit here is with CDC, you can keep the source and target databases in sync for a period of time to test that the application tier works on top of the new cloud database. So that really helps reduce risk and might help accelerate migration use cases where otherwise you'd be wary to migrate to the cloud. One other thing here is Striim also supports failback scenarios. So you can have bidirectional replication of keeping both the source and targets in sync. And if anything ever happens, even after the cutover, can fail back to the source database. One other thing to note here is just with our great partnership with Azure, we have a program in place where for certain source target combinations, which Azure's internal DMS tools don't support, Striim helps augment those use cases and enables those migrations. As an evolution from cloud adoption, getting into hybrid cloud data integration. So this is where you're not planning on getting rid of the source database, but rather continuously keeping it in sync with, and today we're focused on Synapse, but say Event Hubs, SQL DB, DB for Postgres, Cosmos, or any other Azure data service. And then lastly, you can turn these data pipelines into smart data pipelines with what I mentioned earlier with the streaming processing engine of either writing SQL queries or Java code. So thinking about Striim and why you might want to choose Striim over other integration tools, the primary one being true real-time and enterprise ready. So Striim, our founders actually founded Golden Gate Software, which was sold to Oracle. So we've been in this log-based CDC in the enterprise data movement space for a very long time. So whenever there's a mission critical use case which requires truly sub-second latency from a source to a target, think of Striim. Additionally, Striim can run in hybrid or multi-cloud scenarios. As I'll dive into a little bit in the demo, it will be showing the SaaS version of Striim, but you can also run Striim as a PaaS on your favorite public cloud. Additionally, Striim is infinitely scalable, so you can either scale up or out depending on your use case. So this is really helpful when you're starting with a smaller use case, perhaps not as much data, and then over time, your application grows, the amount of users using your application grows, and Striim can grow with it. Lastly, and I think the most important topic to this conference is it's really a low TCO. So we'll show in the demo how easy it is to drag and drop these various components and really create an enterprise solution extremely quickly, and you don't have to learn that much about data pipelines themselves. Getting into a customer use case. So a joint customer of ours is Gartner, where they have their webinar system, and they're moving data from their on-prem Oracle databases as well as Gartner.com to Azure. As you might imagine, these Gartner webinars are quite big. So they have peak loads of 100 gigabytes of database changes per hour, and that's growing as well. So really a few important things here is Striim had to meet those real-time SLAs and operate at massive scale. So getting into their actual architecture, here you can see on the left-hand side, so they have their on-prem data center running on Siebel and Oracle, as well as their website. So Striim is reading from those systems, again, via log-based CDC, continuously replicating to their operational data store in SQL DB MI. Then from there, what's interesting here is you can even use Striim as a second ingestion path. So say you land your data, in this case in SQL DB, ADLS, or any other storage tier, then you can use Striim to replicate from that to Synapse And in this case, Gartner's running their analytics using Power BI running on top of Synapse. So with all that said, let's go ahead and dive into the more interesting part here of a demo. So let me share a different screen. So as I've been talking about, this is the Striim fully managed SaaS running within Azure. Once you deploy Striim, you'll arrive at the screen where you have the home page. So you have a few different tabs here. On the left-hand side is dashboards, so you can visualize data in real time. Then what we call applications are all of your data pipelines or data flows from a source to a target. And lastly, you can preview data before moving it. So if we dive into the applications pane, what you'll notice is there are two applications. And that's because within Striim, to do a zero downtime migration or replication consists of two processes. One is the bulk historical load, and the second is the log-based CDC process. So here, those are just reflected within the concept of applications. If we go to one of those applications, there are a variety.
Edward, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yes, you went mute about 15 seconds ago.
Oh, thank you. So I was just mentioning that there are a variety of ways to create Striim applications, either with this drag and drop UI here or via a wizard-based development, so solely template focused, or lastly, as I'll show at the end, text language. Here within the drag and drop UI, simplest application is what we have here. Drag and drop a source, drag and drop a target, configure your connection properties, and you're good to go. In the middle, as I've mentioned earlier, you can do a variety of transformations and other processing in flight, either with these out-of-the-box transformations, or again, you get more flexibility with SQL, or lastly, the most flexibility with Java with what we call an open processor component. In terms of the demo that we have here today, we have an on-prem Oracle database, which is powering a ticketing application for baseball and football tickets. So here we are just providing our Oracle connection properties and specifying that we want to read the entire DMS sample schema, which contains about 20 or so tables powering that ticketing application. We're using a wildcard there to capture all of the tables. Then we're writing out to Synapse, just specifying our connection properties and the tables that we'd like to write to. So very easy configuration here. Before we run this application, we'll just run a count star on our largest table on the target, and you can see it's currently empty. Then we'll go ahead and run this application. So here, as we start the application, now Striim is reading from that source database. In the preview window, you can see some of that baseball information there for the Dodgers, as well as some additional metadata. This preview window is just really helpful to ensure that your data is landing in the right format. And within these in-memory streams, if you do any additional processing, such as adding an op type and a timestamp to create an audit table on Synapse, then you can just ensure that those fields are correctly added. If we go up top, we can also see input and output counts. So the amount of records Striim has read from the source, amount of records Striim's written to the target, as well as the associated rates. So this isn't that interesting. I'll go ahead and fast forward here. And then we can go to a different page, this application progress window, to see some more detailed metrics about how the initial load is going. So this provides a progress bar for each individual table that Striim is loading. In that case, you can see the sporting event ticket has about 37 million rows in it, out of a total of 47, 48 million for the entire database. Just validate that by running the same count star on the target. We'll see that we've landed all of that data and have completed the initial load. So with the initial load complete, we can move right along to the CDC application. You'll see it looks remarkably similar. Only difference is we're using this Oracle reader component rather than the database reader, which we were using earlier. This Oracle reader reads from the underlying Oracle redo logs by default using the LogMiner API. There are a variety of other ways that we can read from those redo logs as well. In this case, we're just specifying a single table for the CDC application that we're replicating to Synapse. And if we go to our Synapse target, this is the exact same configuration as the initial load. You can actually literally copy and paste these components within the UI, and that could be copied and pasted from the initial load. If we go to our target for that CDC table, you can see it's empty, and then we'll start the application. Once we start this application, you'll actually notice that by default, we're only looking for new changes unless you specify a certain SCN to start reading from. So here, since this isn't a live database, there aren't actually people buying tickets. We'll just simulate that people are by running a simple script. So now you can see that we're instantly picking up those new changes, again, those various fields in that data, as well as the associated metadata. Up top, we can see that our total input and output rates are now increasing. We can go to our target, and now we have this continuous 24/7 feed of live data into Synapse. So from there, you can do a lot with that. In our case, in this demo, we chose to visualize that data using Power BI. So just showing what you can really achieve when using a combination of Striim and the Azure ecosystem. Here we're just diving into a variety of metrics for our ticketing application. Perhaps you want to optimize the average ticket price or average ticket price by row. Right now we don't have any sold out games. Perhaps you want to sell out more games, or look at based off of where the stadiums are. Perhaps stadiums in certain markets are doing better than others. So just simulating here what you can do with Striim, Synapse, and Power BI. So that real-time replication from our Oracle database here and now visualized within Power BI. With that said, I have a few other things I'd like to show within Striim. So if we go back within Striim and go up to that top menu bar to the monitoring tab, we'll look at some additional monitoring. So here we can see the overall monitoring for the infrastructure Striim is running on. Can make sure the CPU and memory and all the resources, or you aren't running out of resources. And then we can actually dive into each individual application themselves. So if we look at the CDC application, you can take a look at each individual step of the application, take a look at the sources, take a look at the targets, make sure the amount of events in equal the amount of events out. And then also dive into additional metrics, such as end-to-end lag. So Striim computes the amount of time that it takes from reading a record on the source to writing out on the target, as well as more details. So here you can really just get a good sense of what's going on the target, ensure that the data is landing to those tables successfully. Continuing here within the UI, up top there are also users. So this is helpful if you have larger teams using Striim. You can configure certain users with, say, application creation privilege, certain users with only monitoring privileges, to make sure that no one's doing anything or doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. Additionally, you can configure alerts. So if you don't want to have to constantly be monitoring within this UI, you can set alerts for conditions based off of the resources themselves. So say if the CPU rate is greater than 90% or the memory is less than 1 GB. For the applications themselves, so if say that CDC application crashed for any reason. And lastly, at a component level. So say if that Oracle CDC reader event rate was 0, you could receive an alert and then act upon it accordingly. There's also a command line interface for Striim. So here, if you don't want to interact with the UI, you don't have to. You can actually just do all the actions I was showing earlier via command line. That is also exposed within the UI, where there are some additional metrics here, though. One last thing I would like to show here is all of the applications within the UI are backed by what we call a TQL file, which essentially looks like PL SQL. So here, if we go ahead and open that in a text editor, you can see it's very simple syntax. Things like create application, create source for various connection properties, create target and your various connection properties. So what's commonly done is actually programmatically creating these TQL files. And then there's a REST API around Striim. So everything that you saw me doing within the UI can be done via a REST API. So you can really create a programmatic approach to these database migrations or replications. So with that said, that's about all that I had today. That was pretty representative of what a typical Oracle to Synapse replication would look like. So at this point, please let us know if you have any questions. And in the future, would love to talk about your use case directly with you as well. So please reach out to azure@striim.com. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Edward, there's a question in the chat. I don't know if you saw it. And the Rajesh was asking, how does it differ from ADF and Synapse pipeline?
Yeah, great question. So really here, the primary difference is real time. So ADF is all batch focused. So if you can afford longer SLAs from, in our case, say Oracle to Synapse, you don't need to get your data in there for, I don't know, 12 hours, 24 hours, or so forth, then it might make sense to use ADF. But if you have shorter SLAs, you need to get data into Synapse in a matter of minutes, then that's where you'd use Striim. Any other questions?
I don't see any other questions in the chat. I don't know if anybody still has any additional questions. They can raise their hand and come off mute.
So then if there aren't any questions, I guess I'll just leave this slide up and please reach out to us in the future if you have any others. Always happy to hop on a call and answer questions.